So, Simok, I got a question for you.
Sure.
You're married, right?
Yeah.
To a Chinese person. So am I.
Nice.
Are you a Chinese citizen now?
By default, I should say yes, but unfortunately, I'm not.
And how long have you been married for?
Been married for 3 years now, and actually I got married in both countries.
Okay. And because you're married to a local citizen, are you allowed to legally work here?
No, actually, if I use... Holy shit, we're gonna get run over.
Let's move our bikes. We got cars incoming, and hopefully...
Oh, they're gonna go around.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, they're just gonna go home. Oh, this guy is not.
Oh, yes. He's following that guy.
Oh, cool.
Okay, let's continue.
Just cut back in.
Yeah. So, you're married for a number of years now.
Yep.
And you're not legally allowed to work here?
No, it's weird. I actually have to get a work visa, which is only valid for a year, or I can get a marriage visa, but I'm not allowed to work. So I just, what am I, a stay-at-home dad?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, being married, does it give you any other rights? Are you allowed to sort of, I don't know, get any kind of benefits or pensions or anything like that? Is there anything that being married, is there any benefit to being married to a Chinese person to you?
Other than the fact that you get rid of your right to work under your Z visa?
Yeah.
No, actually it's the same as being a tourist in China. You get no other rights other than being able to stay here a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, you see, I've moved over to the marriage visa myself now because basically it does give me longer. I can now stay for 2 years before renewing it, but I have to still renew it every 2 years, and it doesn't give me any benefits. I'm not working anymore because I'm not allowed to work.
Sure.
And yeah, it is a disadvantage. It's kind of annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoa, nice shot there.
Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I very often get people in my comment section on my channel, you get it on your channel, and we get it on this channel.
Ooh, Xiaoxin.
Wow, that was close.
Okay.
Anyway, we often get this where people say, why don't you just get married and get a green card?
Right. It's probably one of the most common questions I get.
I think people are very naive to think that China is anything like any other developed country or even developing country.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, I've got a friend who went to Taiwan and got married, and straight away he was allowed to legally work and get his special ARC card and all that. I got a friend who went to Hong Kong who got married in Hong Kong, and he was straight away legally allowed to work and get pension and all that nonsense. You know, yes, there's a process of naturalizing and it takes 7 years or something, but straight away, because you're married to a local, you're then allowed to legally work and become part of the system.
Sure.
And of course it works in England and in America, you know, the UK, all these other places, most countries in the world, in fact, even South Africa. If you get married to someone, because you're their husband or wife, you now have a right to kind of live there and work there and be a part of the system.
Right.
China is not like that.
No, so we're actually going to talk about how China classifies people when they come here, foreigners when they come here. Yeah. And to be honest, the video is going to be called, You're Never Going to Be Chinese.
Yeah, so instead of us standing here dodging cars and bikes all the time, how about we hit the road and talk about this?
Let's do
that. Okay, cool. Right, Simok, so what would you say is the first thing that basically tells you that as a foreigner there's no way that you're ever going to be Chinese?
Well, I'm going to say that the first thing that you'll notice is your interactions with people. Okay. And what I mean is, it's actually, it kind of makes you feel good in the beginning, because people will say, if you say 1 or 2 Chinese words, people will say, wow, your Chinese is so awesome, blah, blah, blah. It makes you feel like you're a real smart dude, right?
Gotcha.
It's actually quite condescending after a while. And what I mean is, you can spend a long time here. Yeah. And in the beginning you might be flattered, and then later you kind of do understand the culture and the language and things like that, right? Yeah. So what I mean is, you'll never be Chinese in their eyes, even if you've been here for 10 or 20 years, you speak the fluent Chinese, like even multiple dialects, right? Yeah. And, you know, I actually have a little story. My friend ended up studying and doing his master's degree in Beijing. Yeah. And he studied ancient Chinese characters, right? Right. To the point where he actually was an adjunct professor in a Chinese university teaching in Chinese. Right. By the way, he's from England. Okay. And he's teaching Chinese ancient literature, right? Sure. Yet he went to buy some corn. They have these grilled corn things, right? Mm-hmm. I went to go buy one, and the guy says, wow, your Chinese is really good, but I bet you can't read. And so he reads this sign in front of his thing. It says, like, grilled corn, right? Right. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, you can read it, but you probably don't know, you know, you just know the words. You don't know what each character means, you know. Our Chinese culture and history is very deep. And he sat there for like 5 minutes and broke down the character for corn and told him how all the oracle bones and how it all like made sense and stuff, and like way asking him questions now that the guy had no idea about, just because he was so pissed off and frustrated that he spent so long here and actually more fluent in Chinese history than the local people, and still being taught that he's not Chinese. And the last thing that the corn seller said to him said, well, you're not Chinese, so whatever.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Look, we're going to touch on that later a lot, because that is the biggest issue, is it doesn't matter how good you get or how much you understand the culture and the language, you will never be seen as being Chinese, ever, unless you look Chinese. But let's talk about this whole thing about getting a green card, okay? Now, so many people keep saying, why don't you just get a green card? It's very easy. Look, it says online that you just need to do this and this and this and you can get a green card. Okay, so Simulk, in your experience, what do you think about this whole getting a green card thing? Do you think that we wouldn't have tried to do this by now?
I don't want to sound like I'm so just kind of sick of this topic, but I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but it's just not possible. Yeah. And I want to say to all the subscribers that have asked us this 100 billion times, you cannot get a green card in China. And guess what? If you go on the Chinese law blogs and blah blah blah, yes, there is a law that says you can. Yeah. There is a law that says you can be a citizen of China, but I have never seen it. And we talked about this earlier. We're going to put out a little challenge to all the people that claim they know someone that has one.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what?
Well, we're going to say, if you have a Chinese green card, if you've successfully gotten your Chinese citizenship, please send us a photo of it, okay? Of course, blur out your details. We don't want to have, like, know all your personal things.
And we'd also love to interview you.
Yes, but we would like to know if this is just a myth or if it's actually been done, because I know a lot of people who have actually attempted to do it. I guess we have to turn around, eh? Okay. They've attempted to get this green card, but they always hit a block somewhere. You're just not good enough. It seems like you have to be like a, I don't know, like a scientific defector or something, or
yeah, and sell like military secrets, or have a massive amount of money invested in China.
Yeah, you have to be like a millionaire or something, and then yes, you can probably get the green card. But quite honestly, it's not ignorance from our parts. Do you think, I've been living here 10 years, and there was definitely a point in the time I was living here where I desperately wanted to try and get some kind of a permanent residency or green card, because I saw my future in China. And to be honest, the reason that I don't see my future long-term in China anymore is because it is not possible to get such a thing. And I cannot live my entire life uncertain whether or not I'm going to get a visa next year, you know?
Right. So, very well said.
That's number one. I think the next thing we should talk about is credit cards. Okay, so for one, I'm not able to get a credit card. I've tried. Okay. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's incredibly difficult as a foreigner. What are your experiences with that?
My experiences are like, you know when people say, stereotypically, they say like, oh, that Asian girl just wants an American green card, so she married that white guy, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you have to do here with a Chinese girl to get anything done.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get a credit card either. I actually had to go to Hong Kong. I got close to getting one, and eventually, just to save all the hassle, I ended up having to put it in my wife's name.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because like that means you're cash based. You're living with a debit account like a teenager, right? You don't have a credit history here, and you can't have a credit card pretty much.
Yeah, you're just describing me. I've always just had debit cards.
Right.
But absolutely right. It's not impossible. My friend Pete, I think we go down here, don't we? We're kind of looking for these nail houses, because we're going to do a thing about that next week. My friend Pete has a credit card, but it was only because his wife helped him and proved some kind of financial this or that, and then he got it. It was it's not like he could just walk in and get it. And I know I tried and I couldn't get one. So yeah, it's incredibly difficult. Speaking of banks and credit cards, what about the online banking system? What are your experiences?
Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
It's actually another thing. And remember, we're talking about you're not Chinese, right?
Yeah.
You're not Chinese because you don't have a Chinese ID, okay?
Right.
And a Chinese ID is the passport to everything in China, any service, right? And actually, a lot of things in China are really, really convenient, especially things like banking and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You turned around?
Yeah.
I went the wrong way.
I always take this wrong way, you know me.
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of things are convenient in China, but what makes it a nightmare is because of this added convenience, because, you know, the ID, or 身份证as they call it, is used for everything. Foreigners oftentimes can't use their ID from their passport, and you'll never have a Chinese ID. You'll never be a Chinese citizen, so you don't have access to a lot of things, especially online banking.
Yeah, actually, there's something that keeps cropping up for me is every time I want to take the high-speed rail, you know, my wife can just go online and book with her ID card.
Oh, yeah.
Or she can even just walk up to like an automated machine at the train station, use her ID card, and then immediately like get the ticket.
Right.
Now, as a foreigner, you can book online, but because you have a passport, you can't use the machine. So what you do is you book online, then you have to go queue up anyway to go fetch your ticket and prove that you've got your passport and stuff. So there's a lot of things as a foreigner you just can't do here without a Chinese ID card.
I'll throw in something here and you guys can see. We'll actually put it in the video. If I go here on this website to book hotels, in the description here you'll see some hotels, and I'll translate it for you. It says that not allowed to register a foreign ID. So it actually limits your hotel choice as well, transportation and hotel choices.
Yeah, that's correct.
Which is pretty inconvenient, for sure.
Very inconvenient. In fact, you know, we just spoke about money in one of our recent episodes, and I got a comment from one of the people who watched the video, and he was like, yeah, you know, as a foreigner, he went to the bank and he tried to send some money back to the UK, and what happened was they asked for proof of employment, they wanted proof that he'd been paying taxes, and they wanted, what else? They wanted a whole bunch of crap from him, didn't they?
Right.
Like there was a whole lot of red tape just for him to send a small amount of money to the UK. So he just asked his Chinese girlfriend to transfer it to the UK, and she didn't need any of that. She just needed to do it online. Very easy, very simple.
There you go.
So yeah, he needed to provide pay slips and all sorts of nonsense. Oh, and he needed like a stamp from his company and a permission slip and everything like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, being a foreigner, you're definitely at a big disadvantage, and you're not Chinese. You don't get access to all those conveniences.
Right.
Okay, next point that we're going to talk about is...
Well, that is actually having a house.
Yeah.
Owning property.
And you should know, because you do own property here.
Yes. Now, although it is in the law that a foreigner can own a property, right?
Right.
Again, it's the same as the green card situation. On paper, you're supposed to be allowed to own property here in China if you have a Z visa, right?
Yeah.
A work visa. That did not work out like I had planned.
Yeah.
Through this whole rigmarole of me trying to make this happen, it ended up being that both of our properties, both me and my wife's, are in her name.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And it was just to save the headache. But let's put on the tinfoil hat for a second.
Yeah.
What if my wife is some psychopath,
right?
She's gonna go ape shit, and she's gonna divorce me and take the kid and try to get incriminating evidence on me, and I get sent to jail or something, right? In China, I'm not Chinese, and we keep harping back on this, but I'm not Chinese, so in a divorce, everything goes to the woman.
Of course.
That compounded with the fact that the house is in her name anyway, even though I paid for it.
Sure.
So here we are again. I am literally the same man as I was when I stepped foot here 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I own the same amount of things.
Sure.
Legally, right?
Correct. Yeah, and there is no legal recourse if they decide that they want to freeze your bank accounts or anything.
No.
As a foreigner, you don't really, get anything. Well, like I said, any legal recourse. It's kind of scary, actually. At the end of the day. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Chinese driver's license situation.
Oh God.
Okay, so I've recently renewed my license. Okay, and it was quite a hassle. It cost me a lot of time and money to get my driver's license and then renew it again. But why did I need it? It's so frustrating because Chinese people with their Chinese driver's licenses, they can just go to America and drive.
Right.
For instance, or the UK.
Problem.
Or they're allowed to drive with a foreign license. Obviously, you need to get a translation done.
But it's easy.
Yeah, but you do that and you can drive. But in China, you may not drive on a foreign driver's license.
None.
You have to have a Chinese driver's license.
Not even a Hong Kong license.
Yeah, exactly. You cannot. And it's frustrating. And, once again, it's just one of those things. And what makes it even more frustrating is, even if you have a visa, for China, you can't get a Chinese driver's license. You need to have like a 6-month visa and a residency permit. So you need to. Yeah, I needed to have my work visa before I could get my Chinese driver's license.
Sure.
So, for instance, I've got a Korean friend who lives here more or less because he's got a little business overseas.
Okay.
But he comes here to hang out with his girlfriend and his friends, and he wanted to get a license. He's got a car and everything. But he was just on like a tourist visa or a business visa, and he could not get a driver's license. So he's kind of stuck. It's really annoying.
That sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on from these restrictions. This is interesting. Don't think we've ever been down here before.
Where are we going?
No idea. Probably just a driveway. Eh? Yeah. Any milk dogs?
No, well, let's not find those today. It doesn't have to be a tradition.
Oh, I think we can go past it. Let's continue.
Oh, sweet.
So let's get away from these restrictions because, we're foreign nationals, so yes, we're going to face restrictions here no matter what. But let's talk about, let's play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Let's say you've been living here like 100 years, or you were born here or whatever, and for whatever reason, you actually do have a Chinese green card.
Okay.
Permanent residency, and you're now living here as a sort of Chinese citizen.
Okay.
Will you ever be considered Chinese?
No, and that's a good point, actually. At the end of the day, it is a difference between a national identity and a cultural identity, meaning that Chinese people, even if born in America or even if born in any Western country, will consider themselves as Chinese, right? Whereas an American doesn't mean my blood is American, right? We found a milk dog.
Ah, yeah, we did. But this
it doesn't
friendly.
mean that's a nice one. Yeah. I'm American, but that doesn't mean my blood is American. I'm not racially American, right?
Sure.
But in China, your race and your legal status is combined. So if you're born in China, you're still legally tried as a Chinese, even if you're an American citizen, actually. I recently found this out. If you are on Chinese soil. Because your birthright is to be Chinese. And that's the difference, is that I can become a Dutch citizen. I can become a Danish citizen. I can even become a citizen of Japan.
Sure.
However, I can never become a citizen of China because at the end of the day, Chinese people will look at me and say, well, you have the ID, you have the same rights as us, you are part of the same healthcare system and education system, everything is the same as us, but you will never be Chinese. Yeah. Your skin is not Chinese, your blood is not Chinese, your heritage is not Chinese.
Yeah, I kind of find it a little bit amusing when there was recently some American scientist made some or other discovery that he was a Chinese American. But he was born in America, and so was his family. Like before him, he's like, I don't know, 4th generation or something.
Right.
And the local Chinese here took great pride, saying, "Look at how smart our Chinese people are."
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't Chinese at all. He's American.
No.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's why you get people like there's that famous Canadian guy, Dashan, who speaks flawless Chinese, and
he's better than native.
Yeah, he is without a doubt. You get people like him, and who basically, let's just keep exploring, shall we?
Sure.
Wow, lime pit. Get people like him, and Chinese people will say, "Wow, that foreigner speaks Chinese really well." They'll never accept him as being Chinese.
No. And he's been here 20-something years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he fully embraces the culture. And I mean, I've said this before, but people I've been dealing with for the 10 years I've been here, the same people who've known me, shop owners and stuff, they will still just say, "Hey, look, that foreigner this, that foreigner that," even though...
Dude, my mother-in-law the other day asked me if I was okay to use chopsticks.
What, really?
I've eaten with her like 150 times probably.
Yeah, look,
like it's still that mental block, you know?
It is, isn't it? Well, man, let's turn around. Let's go back to those nail houses.
Sure.
And then we can wrap up. Because I think we've more or less said what we need to say. Watch out for these trucks. This guy doesn't like us.
Yeah, he wants to run us down.
Hey, cement mixer boy.
What a lovely place we've found.
Yeah, let's not come back here again.
Whoa.
Yeah, okay, so, whoa. Watch out for the forklift. Shit. Now, once again, Seema, it looks like we've kind of made a little bit of a negative video, and I know we're getting a lot of people complaining that our videos are negative.
Let me say something.
Yeah?
I don't mean to be negative about this. That looks like a Western house, by the way.
Oh yeah, it does. That's really nice.
Next to a lime pit. I don't mean to be negative about this, to be honest, but it's one of those things that when I first came to China, you're gonna treat going abroad, especially to such an exotic culture, like an escape.
Yeah.
When you grow up in rural America, coming to China is a really big adjustment and a big change, and you think deep down in your heart that you're gonna come to this place and assimilate and become an expert, right?
Sure.
But when every day is like day one,
Sure.
It's not fun anymore when you get the same questions and same expectations from people. When you've poured your heart and soul and life into trying to assimilate, getting married, understanding the language, communicating with people, traveling around, trying all the foods, talking about cultural differences and understanding theirs and adjusting to theirs, and still treated like an absolute vanilla-faced McDonald's foreigner.
Yes.
It's not a good feeling after 7 years, and that's why I'm a bit salty about this, is because 7 years here is a long time, and I still am not Chinese, so what's the end game?
Yeah, I think we came from there. There's one of those nail houses. Yes, I'm going to throw something else in here. Now, this may be a bit of a long episode, but it's an important one.
Yeah.
Now, you've had a child recently.
Yes.
Right? And it's half Chinese, half European.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, it looks that way anyway. I think you're safe. And yet I've heard things like your mother-in-law saying that, oh no, our Chinese bodies are different. We can't have this kind of food or whatever, to your own child.
I caught my mother-in-law saying to my child, "You're not a foreigner, are you? You're our Chinese baby."
Yeah, and that's how far it goes. That it's so bad that even your own child, who is half Chinese and half European, will be basically not seen as anything other than, they'll see the Chinese part and they'll try to claim that, and it's just ridiculous. It's like, it's your child, for goodness sake.
I know, right? Don't lie.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah. It's annoying, and I think that's the thing that's getting grating on both of us, is the fact that we've been here for so long and tried so hard to integrate into this country, which we both quite obviously love very much, otherwise we wouldn't have been here for so long.
Exactly.
And just to be treated like some ignorant outsider who doesn't understand China.
Right, and I think, and you see that because people are like, "Oh, you're ungrateful because you don't accept hospitality and stuff."
Yeah.
But we're talking about people that we've known for a long time that still treat us like a new foreigner, right?
Yeah.
So the hospitality becomes condescending when they say, "Oh, your Chinese is so good," when you say "ni hao." "Oh, you can use chopsticks so well." I've known you for 7 years, dude. You don't need to say bullshit like that.
Absolutely.
I'm not a retard.
Exactly. It is very annoying, and I get it all the time on my videos these days. "Oh, you don't like this? Get out of China." It's just so annoying. It's like, I've been here for 10 years, like if I wanted to...
We're allowed to commentate.
Yeah, I've poured so much of myself into this country, and I love this country so much, and the people, and my wife and everything, and yet people still are like, "Oh, you're just a silly little foreigner that should get the hell out if you don't like it," and it annoys me.
Certainly does.
Imagine there's like a Chinese person who's been living in, let's say America, for example.
Sure.
And this is a nail house. This is going to be our next topic.
Oh yeah, cool.
Imagine there's a Chinese person who's been in America for 10 years. They've married an American. They've acclimatized. They speak the language now, so they speak English very well. Mm-hmm. And, they're kind of going along with their life, and they're kind of like we did here.
Yeah.
Have a kid and all that. And imagine they kind of complain and say, "Oh, this fattening food that, McDonald's is not healthy." And then I turn around and say, "Well, if you don't like the food, get the hell out of the country."
Right. That would never happen.
No, it would never happen. Or someone, like, you have an argument with someone, they're like, "Well, if you don't like it, get the hell back to China, get out of here."
Right.
I wouldn't say that.
No.
But they do that all the time. So it's frustrating. You cannot be Chinese as hard as you try. You can never be accepted as part of the...
Put on your Tang Dynasty shirt, speak 6 different local dialects, walk around with a bag of dumplings and a pair of chopsticks, you'll never be Chinese.
Absolutely. Anyway, this does sound like a very bitchy, episode, but like really, it's just the way we feel, right?
Bitch is gonna bitch.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys. Sorry if you found this negative, but this is coming from experience. If anyone else is a foreigner that's lived here in China for a long period of time, you will agree 100%.
Yes.
And if you're just a new blood here going through the honeymoon period, enjoy it.
Or if you've been here a long time and you did the smart thing and didn't learn any Chinese, live your blissful, ignorant life. It's awesome.
Yeah, because when you can understand what people say around you, a lot of those assumptions that you make. Oh, look at this friendly old man over here. But you walk past him and he's like, these foreigners suck.
F in America, F in foreigner.
You know, then you would change your mind. So
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, that's bitch session. That's probably our biggest bitch session, eh? Biggest bitch session.
Nice.
It's done. We're over. But now we're going to talk about something that's kind of interesting in our next episode.
It's what we're standing on, eh?
Absolutely. But we're not going to spoil it. So
No.
is there anything you'd like to say to our subscribers before we finish?
Well, if you are Chinese or you're not Chinese, I don't care where you're from because I'm an individualist. And if you decide to be whatever you want, you can become a dinosaur for all I care. I will accept you. And also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Well, I identify as an attack helicopter.
Nice.
Shut up. And quite honestly, yes. I have lots of Chinese friends. I absolutely adore my Chinese friends and also my Western friends. And I just got to say that it's a frustrating situation. But whether you're Chinese, whether you want to be Chinese, whether you're not Chinese, whether you don't want to be Chinese, doesn't matter who you are, where you are, you're always a friend in my books. And just like us,
Nice.
and of course all the subscribers who watch us,
Of course.
stay awesome.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind